Hi, thanks for being in a new video. This time I have an unboxing of the Honor Pro. Let's get started. This device has just been announced in Mexico at a price of 19,999 pesos. On the screen you have the reference price in dollars just to give you an idea. But remember that the prices here are not the same as over there. However, in the description I also leave you a coupon that you could use to get a 4,000 pesos discount, which is a very important discount. So applying the coupon, the price would be 15,999 pesos. Again on screen, the reference price in dollars. It is a category that is increasingly occupied by several devices. Previously it was a price range somewhat abandoned, but now we have seen a good litter of devices launched in this price. So the competition will be interesting between each of them. Join me to take this device out of the box to know what it can us. Yeah, and directly we meet the smartphone. Look at its design, it's quite unique. I'm not sure it's my favorite design, but at least as soon as you see it, I think you realize what device it is. It has several highlights such as this jewel finish with a somewhat strange curve. Also the design of the camera module in the shape of an oval, but with the corners a little thicker in this contour. The truth is that, as I tell you, it's a very particular design. Let's put the device on, and while it's turning on, we see what else comes in the box. And as you'll notice, we find this little envelope that comes with this tool to remove the SIM card tray, and we're also going to find a case that, as you'll notice, it has a totally transparent design, totally flexible semi-rigid edges. It's a really simple case. There are other manufacturers that are putting more and more effort into the design of the case, giving something more pleasant. In this case, they go to the basics. Surely over time it will get a little more yellow. So it confirms that it is a simple case, but it is still a good thing that the manufacturer includes the case directly in the box. Let's see how it looks with the case on. To the eye it looks very similar to how it looks without the case, although you can see that the back cover will have a lot more reflections compared to how it looks without the case on. So it's time to decide, would you use it with or without the case? I would use it without the case, but let's see what else is in the box. And as you can see, it's a 100-watt charger. In this case, as it's a review unit, it comes with a UK connector. But obviously, when you buy it in your country with official distribution, it should come with the corresponding adapter for your region. So 100 watts of fast charging is pretty good. The cable is from USB-A to USB-C, with these highlighted in orange so you can identify it more easily. As you remember, you need to use the original cable. If you want to enjoy it, you need to use the original cable. You need to use the original cable if you want to enjoy maximum charging power. That's all that comes in the box. Let me put it back in the box to focus on the specifications of this device. I've already got this device set up so we can get to know its specs. So join me in giving it a tour because the price is actually remarkably high. It sits squarely in the high end of the entry level, so let's see if the specs match the price tag. It's 8.2 millimeters thick and weighs 199 grams. We don't consider it to be an ultra-light device, but considering that it's an ultra-light device, but taking into account that it's a very lightweight device, an ultra-light device, but taking into account that it comes with a very good battery and good cameras, we could say that it is expected. It supports the IP65 level of water resistance. That is to say that it could be submerged at a shallow depth and survive, but it does not have a resistance to a higher level of depth. So in that sense, it disappoints for the price at which it is distributed. It has a 6.78-inch screen with OLED technology and 120 Hz in its refresh rate, in addition to a peak of 4000 nits when you watch HDR content, so it's a really very good screen in terms of everything to do with it. In fact, it's going to offer us a resolution of 1224 by 2700 pixels, so it's a slightly higher resolution than Full HD, giving us something remarkably good. It also has stereo sound with a speaker below and another speaker at the top. This is something very positive. alternative because the previous version we had in Mexico was the Honor 90 that came with mono sound, something totally disappointing. So they have finally improved that. As for selfie camera, we find 50 megapixels with f-aperture 2.1. So while it has a good resolution, the fact that it has fixed focus could get us to the point where we have a good resolution. The fact that it has fixed focus might come to disappoint because it is a device that is positioned at a fairly high price. In fact, it has two cameras. The second is 2 megapixel depth of field camera with aperture f2.4. It is supposed to help to have good quality portraits. Although the depth of field camera is simple, it is not in 3 dimensions, so facial recognition is also basic. So look, I already have my test portrait picture here, and it was able to keep the objects in focus, although not with 100% accuracy, so it seems to me that the front depth camera is not giving me the expected performance. Fortunately, it did keep much of the object in focus, but in the review we will do some tests, a little more complex. For now, the portraits look good, but not perfect as they should be, having the f2.4 aperture, not perfect as they should be, having a depth camera, supposedly. And as for the traditional format photography, in the preview I took, it still looks very burned background. But note that after processing, I think it quite improved the result. The front camera, I think if we will give a good quality photo, although if it had autofocus it would be even better. On the back we find a 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera with f2.2 aperture and autofocus. So it also serves for macro photography. At the bottom is the main camera, 50 megapixels with f-aperture of 1.9, autofocus and optical stabilization. And in the middle part we find the telephoto camera with optical zoom, 2.5x 50 megapixels on the sensor and f-aperture 2.4. I think that in the photographic system it comes to meet with good quality. In what one would expect from a device of this price, since we find good versatility since macro photography with ultra-wide camera, also a very wide perspective, and we get to the telephoto that has high resolution sensor, so it should have a good quality zoom. Here you are looking at the picture with the ultra-wide camera. I think the result is okay. Even the edges look good colors. In general, it is a camera that looks good during the day. In the review, we will test how it does at night. Now you are looking at the photo with the main camera. It also looks with good color processing, good detail and everything else. I think it will be a camera that can really stand out with good quality, similar to what a high-end device could offer us. Also, in conjunction with this display supporting XDR technology, you should notice that some areas of the image are going to project more brightness to give more realism. For example, in this area that was reflecting the sun, this screen is able to emit more brightness and gives us a very realistic feeling when reviewing these pictures. And now you're looking at it with the 2x zoom setting, but it's still the main camera. Although it does maintain optical quality, it has good range in intermediate zoom as well. Subsequently, you're looking at the telephoto camera zoom photograph. Obviously, the quality will be optical, and in good lighting conditions, the result is very good. Notice that also with the 136mm setting, we have a good performance. In fact, the picture looks ultra detailed. I dare say it maintains optical quality at the same zoom setting. This is a 5x zoom photograph, and as I say, it looks spectacular. So, throughout this range, the quality of the photograph is worthy of a high-end device. Now you're looking at a 10x zoom photograph, and again, the level of detail is exaggeratedly high. I'm amazed at the quality it achieves at this zoom range, although it starts to look slightly artificial in some areas if we go a little more detailed. But honestly, that zoom does give us a very noticeable quality. And the maximum zoom is 50x, although there is definitely a super sharpness, a lot of exaggeration, but it is the maximum limit. It seems to me that in all the intermediate zoom ranges, from 1 to 30x, maybe you can still see good quality. The device also gives us the 4K quality for video recording, both with the main camera and with the ultra-wide camera and even the telephoto camera. In fact, the front camera can also record in this quality. So in video recording, it can manage to hold its own well too. It comes with a battery of 5200 mAh. In that aspect, it does surprise, especially since we are talking about a pretty slim device. It supports 100-watt charging, so all in all it has good battery and good charging power. In fact, it also supports wireless charging and reverse wireless charging, features that one usually expects from high-end devices. So it does come to stand out in these aspects as well. Still, in this price range there are some who dare not put such features, but here it does deliver. It also has a fingerprint reader inside the screen. So in addition to the simple facial recognition that I had already mentioned, it has the fingerprint reader with which you would have much more security. It comes with Android 14 and Magic OS 8. Honor usually adds several features, and in this generation it has artificial intelligence novelties that I will tell you about in the video review. It also comes with 12 gigabytes of RAM plus another 12 gigabytes of Honor's Turbo RAM, which I have already mentioned to you on other occasions, but I must remind you, everyone knows that I don't like virtual RAM, but specifically Honor's virtual RAM did work in the tests I've done, although in this case having 12 physical gigabytes I see unnecessary to have another 12 virtual gigabytes, but anyway, there they are. Surely you're going to be able to have all the apps you want open and they're not going to restart. It also has 512 gigabytes of storage, and just turned on the device showed me 27.35 gigabytes used. We have plenty of space to store everything we want. And finally, the processor is the Snapdragon 8S Gen 3 accompanied by an Honor C Chip 1 for connectivity. So in this case, Honor does integrate one of its chips that it usually only integrates in its premium range series. That clearly gives us to understand that it is a device that will try to position itself in the segment that is looking for a premium device but still at an entry price level. And we already know a bit about the performance of this processor that is very similar to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, but here are some benchmark results. In Geekbench, it scored 1,943 points in single core, and in multi-core it reached up to 4,766, while in Antutu it reached 1,258,502 points. That is to say that it is a very powerful device, so again, in this sense, it is also a kind of entry into the premium segment, so it will be very interesting to see how this device performs in various tests. Overall, it seems to me a device that can indeed become competitive. Perhaps in some aspects it will still be noticed that it is not an ultra-premium device, but it does deliver in several scenarios. For the moment, this has been all for this video. If you liked it, you know you can tell us about it, and we'll see you next time.